Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County for Wednesday, January 6, 2021. I'm the Nighthawk, along with our studio engineer, Mr. Alan Ritchie Cunningham. And on my left, an empty seat, expecting Super Dave Handy to be here. And on my right, my old pal, Mr. Duke Forrest.
Nighthawk.
So, we might as well just get into it right away. It's kind of old news. The Giant football game the other night, and I saw you briefly before the start of the show, and yes, the Giants only won 6 games this year. You should be responsible for your own actions. I, as a football fan in general, looking at the lowly Eagles, and they have a horrific salary cap issue for next season. They easily could be the worst team in the league next year.
Carson Wentz not helping them.
The situation. They had Carson Wentz on the bench, rightly so.
It wasn't even eligible for the game, right?
He didn't dress. You're right. And so they had Jalen Hurts, their number 2 draft pick out of Oklahoma, formerly of Alabama. He was quarterbacking before Tua took over his position. So he's not playing well. 7 for 20, maybe 68 yards. He did score 2 touchdowns.
Right, 2 rushing touchdowns.
And I'm thinking to myself, and they're down by like 3 points.
Of course, they had the field goal. I picked it up late. They had a chip shot field goal that would have tied it at the time, 17-17.
And I'm going to myself, what a great situation for Hurts. You couldn't draw this up any better. A little adversity he's dealing with. The team is still easily in this ball game. So they get down to the 5-yard line, 1st and 5. Stop. All right, bring the field goal kicker out there. Well, that didn't happen. Well, you could smell the old proverbial skunk in the wood pile at that point. Methinks that the Eagles are throwing the game. Now, you've known me forever.
And, of course, for the record, as I think about it, you've told your teams to do the same. So I'm not sure you should be real upset about that.
What I'm upset partly is bad acting. Okay? You've got to disguise this a little bit better because this could stir the conversation up of having a lottery. NHL, lottery, NBA, lottery. I was the most surprised guy in the world to see Nate Sudfeld in the ball game. Again, forget the Giants. This is the integrity for the Eagles to make their young quarterback a better quarterback. Will Wentz be there next year? I would normally say he's gone, but with that horrible contract situation,
they may have trouble unloading him.
Any team would be reluctant to pick that up coming on the heels of the last 2 years. So, they essentially threw the game, fine and good. Now, I saw Seth Joyner, former Eagle, Hall of Famer, said he was never more disgraced to being a member of the Philadelphia Eagle family than he was right now. Found out last night there were 2 players, active players, ready to go up and punch Peterson now.
Really?
We can sit here on this dog and pony show that we call the Best Damn Sports Show in Franklin County, and I can give you all the valid reasons why you should tank. However, when you're the head coach and these guys are giving you the blood, sweat, and tears, okay, and I've never played in the NFL, but that looks like a nasty sport to play in, okay? You're really sacrificing yourself. They're upset. I just don't see how the Eagles can go into training camp here next season with any respect for their coach. There were just several players on the Eagles calling their coach out. Now, as far as the Giants are concerned, if I really knew the Eagles were going to throw this game like this, and again, Joe Judge, the head coach, was really...
Oh, he was beautiful.
Yeah. Very avid about
not happy
why I'm the head coach of the New York Giants. You'll never see my team do this. But the Giants started the draft position before the game 8th. If they would have lost, they would have went up to 7. with a victory over the Cowboys, they went from 8th to 11th. Not a huge drop, but that could supplant them from picking up the Heisman Trophy winner.
Devontae.
Devontae,
whatever it is, from Alabama.
yeah,
I'm spacing out.
Or the two corners, Caleb Farley out of Virginia Tech or Patrick Surtain II out of Alabama. Those three players don't look like they would be in the fold at this point. Just guessing, Giants now picking 11th could get an edge rusher, Greg Russo out of Miami or Kwity Paye out of Michigan. Giants played hard. Cowboys played hard.
I didn't see that game, so decent effort by the Giants.
Yeah,
I assume.
it
It was a good game.
Right.
It wasn't
Good game.
pretty, but
Yeah.
the Giants, I thought their defense was stout
Really.
all day, and the offense, it was pretty good when it had to be.
So Daniel had an okay game.
Oh, he played very well.
He played pretty well. Ingram had another pass go right through his hands for interception.
David,
the Cowboys got a touchdown.
Let me tell you
on.
something. I've known you for many, 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 many years. You've been on this show for a lot of years. You do a nice job on the show. But you said, I don't know if the word is an adjective. When we talked about Ingram briefly last week, you used the word enigma. And I said, holy crap. I've been looking for a word. Is that an adjective? How would you enigma?
No, it's an enigma, a puzzlement. No, it's a noun.
A noun. Okay.
And
So-
enigmatic would be the adjective.
Okay, so David said it went through his hands. David was half right. Jones put a perfect pass, literally right here in front of his face, went through his hands, off the top of his helmet. Okay, now, so I'm watching the game.
Was he the same guy who dropped the great pass? that
Yes, he is the same guy.
Jones threw that probably
Yeah.
would have given the
Okay.
Giants another victory. That
Supposedly
was
he had more drops than any other tight end in
Wow.
He did
football.
lead the
earlier.
league in 8 drops. Now, I will go to my grave thinking to myself, how in the heck did Evan Ingram make the Pro Bowl this year? And I've come to the conclusion very simply is he is a great athlete and a mediocre football player.
He made the Pro Bowl?
Yeah. Now,
Is there not a lot of good tight ends? I can't believe. Well, you know what?
Patriots could use one.
The 49ers' great tight end, he was hurt.
Kittle. Yep.
There aren't a lot of really good tight ends in the NFC.
Gronk had a decent
They're-
year, but he's a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
But he shouldn't have been a Pro Bowl.
Now, Ingram
Pro Bowl.
has got the option here for next season. Giants could pick it up, and I think they will for $6 million. Now, the Giants could. I don't think they would. The tight end that the Patriots have their eye on, Kyle Pitts out of Florida. But I'd rather keep Ingram from one more year. See
Well,
how-
he does present matchup issues.
Oh, yeah.
Because when he's fast, he's really a wide receiver and a tight end body, except he can't catch a ball. And
David, the irony with him, he makes a lot of great catch, just great that you should not be caught. But the routine, he looks like the
I think his blocking's gotten better
a
too.
little bit better.
He's hey, we'll see what they can do. The Giants had their end of the year press conference today with Mara and Tisch and Gettleman, and I think the ownership. Firstly, they said there was never any doubt they were going to keep Gettleman, and they feel like for the first time in a long time the needle's pointing up. And
Did they get so this was media? They answered a bunch of questions?
oh yeah, they did all the stuff.
With the
and,
media? Were the media less
yeah.
than impressed with the team? Or
Well, the Post had, the Giants were really quite effusive with their praise for Judge and how the season went. The last 8 games were 5-3. I mean, but if you look at it, if you do the autopsy, let's face it, they only beat one team with a winning record.
yeah.
You take them. They beat Cincinnati, okay, and
Beat Washington.
they
twice,
beat.
yeah.
They were 4-2 in their division, which is not arguably is the worst division in football, maybe the worst division ever in the NFL. Yeah. So they still got a lot of work to do, but I kind of agree with them. I think Gettleman did a good job this year as free agents. Martinez sure was good.
Yep.
They had pretty good words for Jones, I assume.
They got good words for Jones, Bradbury, Logan, and the guy I think they got to keep. I mean, he played really good. Leonard Williams is an anchor.
Where's the money, honey? It's going to cost the Giants minimum, I would say, a 6-year, $100 million contract.
Well, I don't think
Delvin Tomlinson's also a free agent. They only can keep one of them.
I think maybe 4 years, around 75 to 80.
Really?
They were paying him $16 million and a half this year. So if he could get a 3-4 year deal and stay with the Giants, I think he likes the Giants. The best news we got this week was our defensive coordinator, who was asked to interview for other coaching jobs, the Jets in particular, said they gave him a raise, and he says, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying with the Giants, which is great news.
Okay.
He's really good. So,
the autopsy on the Giants is they did what we wanted them to do.
You definitely saw improvement.
Now,
right?
Andrew Thomas, first half of the season, we were all thinking, what a bust. Now, with the 4 great tackles coming out of the draft last year, and the Giants had the first pick, 4th overall, of picking a tackle, was Jedrick Wills, Micaiah Beckin, and Tristan Wirfs. Overall, Thomas graded out the lowest between the 4. But again, we saw a lot of upgrade with Thomas as the season wore on, so we're optimistic. Now, I will say this. I did see the improvement. I'm not crying over a 6-10 record. Next season, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I told you last week, I would almost say literally 50% of Giant fans want Jones, 50% want him out of there. This guy is on a lot of pressure next year, and I'll lead the charge here on this show right here.
So you want to see nothing less than 500? You want to see better than that?
Oh, I think we need about a 10-6 season.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, and Gettleman said today that he's going to get them some playmakers. They need some playmakers. I don't think the free agents playmakers are out there, but
and
if they can draft,
Saquon should be back, right?
And Saquon should be back, and he should be all okay, and he'll have a lot to prove too.
But with Saquon, Wayne Gallman averaged 4.6 yards.
Had a good year, very good year.
Yeah. The Giants, like the Patriots, they need a number 1 receiver. On top of my head, I'm thinking Allen Robinson from the Bears is a free agent.
There's some guy from
Corey Davis
from Carolina that had a breakout year. He had like 75 or 80 catches. They were saying that Gettleman likes the guys he drafted from Carolina, so that's possibility too. But to get back to your Eagles thing, that was really bad. I don't blame a team for not trying to win a game. If they've got a game the next week, I don't blame the Steelers for resting starters. That's okay. But you know what? The Eagles had nothing to do. All you got to do is look at the Jets. The Jets this year had nothing to play for. If there's a team that really should have tanked the last 3 games, it should have been the Jets.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Which you, of course, urged them to do.
Sure.
And I think that it was an order. I think it was an order from up above to tell him because the players looked like they were going to puke.
Yeah,
they were so mad.
The end of that game was pretty ugly.
And it's still the fallout. I think it might even cost Peterson his job.
Shaughnessy thinks, Dan Shaughnessy of the Globe thinks the NFL will come down real hard on them. Other folks say they won't do a thing. What do I know?
Some of the argument was, hey, what are you talking about? Big Ben didn't dress today for the Steelers. And I said, idiots, hello. Pittsburgh's already in the playoffs.
Yeah.
They have nothing to play for. And again, the scenario with Jalen Hurts playing could be your future starting quarterback as soon as September. Okay, it was just you couldn't paint it any better. Down by 3 points.
Well, you knew something was fishy when they didn't take the field goal.
Exactly.
Because that was like, it wasn't 4th and a yard.
It was about
like
4th and 5.
Five.
About the
Yeah,
5.
and
Really.
and you just take the field goal, tie the game up.
Really, give me a break. I can't. That was unreal.
Now, I was telling our engineer before I walked to the studio, if the NFL was smart, really smart, do you know what your opening Sunday night football game would be next?
Giants Eagles.
Giants Eagles opening week. Absolutely.
Oh, that would be, there would be, but they're too weak. And they,
But that wouldn't be a
Right.
bad
But
choice.
the thing too, and I always tell you, Duke, an opening week, and we complain a lot of the games they put on the air. Everybody's tied for the first week of the season.
Yeah, they are.
And back to the Giant game, them and the Cowboys, good, hard, earnest
They gave it.
effort.
And I heard somebody say today, the other thing that's really bad is you never let a division team. You if you're ever going to tank, but you don't want to tank
Yeah.
to a team in your own division. You always want to stick it to the teams in your division.
No, there is no love. Of course, you've been to a game in Philly. You've been to a Giants game in
I've
Philly. Didn't
actually
you wear
been.
a Giant? Didn't you wear your
Yeah.
Giant? Lucky you're still
maybe
with us.
about 10 years
Yeah,
ago.
that's a dangerous-
I went down to Lincoln Financial Field in Philly. Really nice ballpark. And, boy, this might have been as far back Jeremy Shockey might have been still playing. So it's been a while. So the Giants scored first. And I got up and cheered politely, yeah, way to go, Big Blue, blah, blah, blah. And my friend next to me, and a bunch of guys, sit down, you F-head. I'll
All
come
right.
down and rip your face out. And they were serious.
Right.
Oh,
and,
really?
and it wasn't one of them. There were a lot of them. So
Wow.
my friend grabbed me by the arm and said,
Cool it.
hey, Rick, we're way too old to get in a fight. So maybe 20 years ago, but just cheer from the
They
inside.
have, I believe, they have a judge and a court there that gets a lot of action during the
Really?
season.
All right.
My brother's been to a couple Philly games because his wife is from that area, and she's a big Eagles fan. And they did not wear, or he didn't wear any of his Giants. He said no.
I did hear Sal Palantonio, solid guy on ESPN, Dan Patrick, who has an excellent show, had him. And Sal Pal's a Philly guy, a sports guy, not a particular fan, but a Philly guy. But he was bitter about the Eagles. He thought they should be shot. But yeah, the end of that game was pretty ugly.
Yeah.
So I love Washington. Washington even gets a home game for what that's worth.
Yeah, but by the virtue of that loss by the Eagles, they were going to be, if they won, they were going to be picking ninth.
Now
And
they get to go
got
sixth.
number 6.
Oh, yeah.
So they did accomplish something, but
Hey, they've got a mess on their hands
Oh.
with Wentz.
But what do you
Because
do
see,
with
the
Wentz?
trouble is in football. Trouble with Wentz, $30 million a year. You got to pay him, even if you
that's what
cut
we're
him.
talking. That's real money, $30 million.
He's getting actually it's a little more than that. I think it's 128 for 4 years.
Wow.
yeah.
I mean, nobody. If they try to move him, aren't they going to have to pick up some of that salary? Is there anybody would pay him that much?
Well, unless another team had
Patriots
another
might
bad,
like him. I don't think they're paying that kind of
Here's-
money, are they?
The thing about quarterbacks in the NFL, there's so few of them, good ones. I mean, Wentz, I thought was a great pick. It was funny because it was Goff and Wentz, number 1 and 2 in the draft. And the Rams signed Goff to a similar contract, and Goff has not played well at all.
Yeah,
And
he
he's
hasn't
going into
been-
the
he hasn't
playoffs
been great.
with a bum thumb. And it's funny, too, like the Patriots this year, correct me if I'm wrong, they have a ton of money, okay? They have about
think they
$80
got some
million
money. Yeah.
to spend, where the Jags have about $100 million. And I think the Eagles, David, are close to $100 million on the opposite side that they have to shed
Really?
salaries. Like Zach Ertz is gone. They showed him sitting on the bench many minutes after the game.
You mean their tight end?
Yeah, they're great tight end. He's gone. I can see him flying over to the Patriots. Would be an absolutely great fit.
He's really good. that guy.
Ertz is a great player.
So what about my man Cam? There was an early report from Adam Schefter, I think, that he wasn't coming back. But I talked to our guy Paul here, who's a way more serious Patriots fan than myself, I think, the next day. And he said, no, that report sounds shaky. And I guess Belichick was asked about that and said, talk to Schefter or something. But are you guys ahead of me on that? What's the story with Cam?
If he's back with the Patriots, I will resign as host.
And Paul wasn't that upset. Paul thinks, hey, Duke Richard, it was
he won't be the starter. He could be a backup, maybe.
Horrible year and stuff, but with regular preseason and stuff, Paul wasn't throwing in the towel on him.
There's no way. I mean,
I would.
I'm going to sit here right now. I'm this close, but I'm not going to give a Nighthawk guarantee.
But there's no way
I'm
he's
just going to
back.
give a guarantee that I'll give a Nighthawk guarantee. Newton is history, and I'll give a guarantee that Jimmy Garoppolo will be your starting quarterback.
I'd say that's a good guess. I might make the same guess.
The 49ers, and I do not understand how these NFL contracts work. I don't. But they're only on the hook for $2.5 million. They've had it with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Have they really?
Jimmy spends more time in the suites, meaning he doesn't play. He's injured all the time. He knows the Patriot system. He likes Patriots. Patriots like him.
I think that's a not unlikely scenario.
I think Garoppolo is back, and I think the Patriots' first pick will be Kyle Pitts or Jason Waddle from Alabama to get that number one receiver type. I'm in the minority. I know people have been crapping on New England all year, but I have seen a lot of good things. They got to re-sign Joe Tooney. But the running backs, Duke, are really good.
Yeah, they got some running.
Harris has got great acceleration.
It was just living high on the high.
They've got a whole. They had 8 or 9 or 10 guys opt out.
They had a bunch out. Can I just read
if those guys all come back, there's some pretty good players.
A quick hit from Shaughnessy, and again, I've been beating up on my friend Mr. Belichick, but mostly I'm not complaining. Hey, Patriots fans have had an absurdly good run, but as we talked about, just his drafting has gotten me a little down. But Shaughnessy in the glove's pretty fair. This is his lead of a grab bag column Sunday. Tom has won this year, but back off on Bill. The rush to give Tom Brady all the credit for the last 2 decades of Patriot success is unfair and inaccurate. At this hour, Brady is leading bigly in the Tom versus Bill debate. But none of those 6 Super Bowls happen without the hoodie. Week in and week out, year in and year out, the Patriots, who because of coaching and abject intimidation of the opposition, in addition to talent. In these dark hours along Route 1, it's a mistake to assign New England's 2-decade dynasty solely to Brady. History will treat Bill Belichick much better than what he's been hearing from all of us these last couple of weeks. Does anyone ever challenge Red Auerbach's credentials as a head coach? No. In Auerbach, the coach never won a championship without Bill Russell. Anyway.
Yeah. And Buffalo's the real deal.
Boy, Buffalo.
The Miami Dolphins, I know they missed the playoffs with a
too bad after a pretty good year.
But I'm not a Tua fan whatsoever, and there are a lot of people out there not a Tua fan, and I don't believe they will draft quarterback. But there are a lot of folks suggesting they pick Zach Wilson as their next quarterback. Tua just does not look good to me.
Yeah. Well, Tua sure looked good. Tua looked awfully good. That year, he was either a freshman or a sophomore, and I can still see that pass. It was about a 50-yard pass that he threw to help when Alabama won a national title.
That's the game when he came in and took over for the aforementioned Jalen Hurts.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And Hurts went to the bench, and he was real professional about keeping his mouth shut and very quietly transferred to Oklahoma and had a great season.
Well, you got to remember, Hurts the next year
sat out a season, actually.
Was on the bench the whole year and didn't mope, and then went to Oklahoma his senior year. And then, if you remember, there was a game where Alabama, don't get me wrong, I don't watch much college football, but I probably watched the semifinals and the finals.
Yeah.
Tua got hurt or something, and Hurts went in and they scored and they won the game.
Yeah, you're right.
Hurts is a good quarterback and a high integrity guy.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of guy you want as a quarterback. And I think the Eagles got a steal with him. And if they could get rid of Wentz right now, they'd do it.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, though, their salary cap situation is so...
It's atrocious.
It's bad.
right?
They won't be in our mind process for the next four seasons. Cowboys, David, with Prescott back next year, their quarterback will be back in the fold. They have a lot of weapons offensively.
Cowboys, though, have got a lot of issues with salary cap, too.
They do?
I think so.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to pay Prescott $30 million a year, too.
Minimum.
So when you got $30 million in your quarterback, there's two $15 million a year players you can't have, or four $7.5 million players that you can't have, or...
Unfortunately, you have to have a quarterback. And I think you're the one that suggested a couple weeks ago, the Chicago Bears, really nice football team, but they're missing a quarterback. They did make the playoffs. Trubisky will be playing this weekend, which could
probably
be
the
his
least
final
noteworthy game.
And
because they went between him and the other guy from the Eagles,
Mr. Foles.
Nick Foles. They went back and forth during the year.
yeah,
And that's never good.
yeah. So
It doesn't matter. I'm telling you right now, I'm giving you a Nighthawk,
a Super Dave.
a Super Dave guarantee. Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, in the Super Bowl, winning the Super Bowl.
So you have them winning the Super Bowl?
I already put my I've done my pool, and I've got the Chiefs going all the way.
I don't have strong feelings, but geez, I think I would just say there are a few teams that could win. I mean, would you totally rule out Tampa Bay? Mr. Brady coming off a heck of a year here. I mean,
Well, I'm not even sure they're the best team in the NFC.
Yeah.
The Saints are pretty good.
and Buffalo sure looks like a
Buffalo's
pretty
real
good
good.
team.
Buffalo's real good, but you know what the difference is? Kansas City's home. Not that the home games make as much difference
Although
as
they get a
used to.
few fans, they get 20% fans. They get a few fans.
The bottom line is how well are you playing in January?
Sure.
And
Buffalo,
I
isn't
said it last
isn't
week.
Buffalo playing as good as anybody?
If the Seahawks win the Super Bowl, they should bring that trophy over to East Rutherford, New Jersey, because it was the Giants that put the flame underneath their butts after they were embarrassed losing to the lowly Giants. The Seahawks took right off, finished the season at 12-4.
I'll tell you who else looks really good, and I'm willing to eat some crow, is
What
the
about
Ravens.
The Ravens are looking pretty good.
And their quarterback's starting to throw the ball okay. It doesn't look good coming out of his arm, but hey, it goes where it belongs.
Now, Saturday's games, Buffalo is giving 6.5 to Indy. Seattle is giving 3.5 to the Rams. And again, as I mentioned,
Seattle should win that.
Right.
That sounds like maybe the best. Seattle Rams sounds like one maybe
Yeah.
one of your best
Golf's
first
got a
round
bad
games.
thumb. Tampa's giving Washington 8 points.
God, it sounds like such a low line to me.
Now, if Alex Smith was healthy, it could be a good game because we all love the Redskins.
But Washington's defense, we're
It's
talking
really
a
It's
decent.
very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Brady, I mean that might be a better game than some people think. No? Don't think so.
No.
Now, Tom Brady this year, we hadn't talked much about him this year.
Jeez, what a
He
year.
threw for over 4,600 yards.
40 TD passes,
Was at least 40 touchdown passes.
five picks or something.
And he's 40, what,
43.
43.
And do you remember the beginning of the season how there was a little bit of, supposedly there was some tension between him and Bruce Arians?
Sure, right.
And everybody, Brady. They don't seem to be getting along too badly now, do they?
Yeah.
No, Brady had an unreal year.
Now, I'll tell you what's a scary thought is the head of the NFL Players Association said that if you look at how good the product was on the field this year, they don't want to do the preseason and the
Okay, ever again?
yeah, they're saying, hey, we don't need these compulsory things because look how good the football was. And I would say, look how bad the football was. It was entertaining, but I don't think it was well played. I mean, there's a lot of teams out there like the Giants and the Redskins that could have probably used a couple of preseason games. And
Nighthawk, did you think the quality was down? Was that noticeable to you?
Well, I guess I was just looking at my own pathetic
You're probably so
life
happy
where I
to have
nothing to do.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned every week I've watched more football this year than I ever can.
Will you watch all the games
I've
this
got
weekend?
all 6 games set up on the DVR.
Yeah.
I'll put some masking tape around my hand with a remote. Now, I'm not going to sit there and watch all the analysis. What I will do with these games is running play, tackle, fast forward to breaking out of the huddle, and you can get through a game really quick.
Right.
So I'll do that, and of course, and we'll get into it at depth here later in the show. This weekend is Kapalua. And
Hey,
Oh, is it
Thursday.
really?
Right.
That's
So-
in tomorrow's Kapalua.
yeah, it starts tomorrow. So now Sunday's games. See, I don't see a lot of great matchups the whole weekend.
Yeah, Baltimore, Tennessee. That sounds like a decent game to me.
Yeah.
That's a game of
Baltimore's
the
giving
Sunday.
Tennessee 3.5. That could be a good game.
Yeah, that's a game
Chicago
Sunday.
is getting 10 from the Saints, and Cleveland is getting 6 from Pittsburgh.
In Cleveland, no coach is gone, right? Or some of the players
Coaches
gone with
are
the.
gone.
Yeah, so
I'd say, boy, Baltimore, Tennessee's the marquee game Sunday, seemingly
yeah,
to
I
me.
would agree with you there. So of course with Tennessee, they have Derrick Henry.
now I'll tell you what's tough.
Tennessee's tough. I wouldn't want to be playing. And I love Mike Vrabel. I love Mike Vrabel.
I hate to say anything negative about anybody, but I think the quality of the play-by-play and the color on these football games is just awful. And except for maybe Tony Romo, and maybe I can put up a little bit with Troy Aikman and what's his name?
Joe Buck.
And maybe the Sunday night one. These 4th and 5th, all the stale cliches and just nonsense and the blather, blah,
But
blah,
you know
blah, blah,
what?
blah.
Just because you were a great NFL player does not qualify you as a good journalist,
And
analyst.
probably, in fact, it probably in most cases disqualifies you
Exactly.
maybe. Boy, speaking of Tony Romo, I saw a story about a month ago, a sports media story, but about Jim Nance, supposedly at the end of his contract and looking for, I think he was making like $7 million, and
He
Tony
wants Tony
Romo
Romo
just
money.
nailed about $17 million a year or something. So the headline was Nance is looking for Romo money, but I've seen nothing since then.
Yeah, it's easier to get a good play-by-play guy versus a color
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, David's right. There's very few good color people
They're
that
terrible.
enjoy listening.
They're
Yeah.
terrible. They talk too much.
Yeah,
It's
and that's why
awful.
I've always said, with God bless his soul, Tommy Heinsohn, when he was around, it was just so entertaining to
Yeah,
listen
that's a word.
to those guys.
Yeah.
Is entertain me.
Yeah.
And what I like when I listen to sports broadcasting is, don't talk to me. Converse among
Yeah.
yourselves and let me eavesdrop on it, and
a
I
good
will
way to
learn
put
from
it.
the game.
John Madden was a great.
Yes,
John
it
Madden was pretty good.
John Madden was good.
Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
you should put very little effort into being a color guy. It's like Babe Ruth hitting 714. He was natural. Wayne Gretzky. To be able to oritate, is that a word? Your thoughts?
Not sure, but we know what you mean.
Oritate, I like the word. It should just come out naturally,
That might be a word. I'll check that. Oratory is a noun, but that might be a verb out of that.
or like I like to describe you, a fine wordsmith,
No, you're more than kind.
The
So, talking about football, are we talking the 17th game? Or is that still
that's
on
a
hold?
done deal, I guess.
That
So
was my
next-
next
so
question.
next year, are we
I heard him
talking
mention
17?
the other day. I didn't even know that was a done deal.
I
It's a
think
done
it
deal.
is.
I think it's a done deal.
I think it is. But are they officially hoping they're chopping preseason from 4 to 2? Wasn't
Yeah.
that part of that deal?
Of course.
But I think 17 is on. I think that's on next year.
Well, it'll be good to see how it works out.
Boy, 17. Good luck if you've survived 16 games. One more game to survive.
It's all about the money.
Yeah.
And The season was more fun when it was 14 games. But I can live with 16, but they don't need another game.
So
I've had enough.
Football wasn't hurt nearly as much as baseball, sans fans, without fans. Is just the football money that much? That much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So no fans isn't nearly as big a deal for football as the baseball teams.
Correct.
I bet you football still made money.
Yeah.
Well, how many billions they get? They got a lot of. They got a commercial.
Yeah.
Every 3 minutes. That Giants game. Because I'm not as patient as the Nighthawk. I want to see it. So what I do is I'll click between. I was clicking between the Giants and the Jets.
No.
And both those teams were punting so much it was like a commercial after commercial.
David, that's why I tell you to DVR it and start watching it at 2:20. And I will watch everything, but you just zipping through the commercials and the halftime. It's funny because right at when the whistle blows at the end of the first half, you click your 5-minute button 3 times, and the NFL is so precise that it's going to be a 15-minute halftime. Bang, 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 bang. You're right on the kickoff to start the
it's really they've really got it down. It's so hard to watch. You can do. Have you figured out how long? You know what I like to watch? I'm sounding like I'm rambling. I'm like Joe Biden. The NFL Network kind of condenses the games sometimes. Of course, they still have commercials, but not nearly as many.
Yeah.
And I'll bet you can watch a whole game in about an hour.
Yes.
Do they replay all the games or just some games?
No.
Just
They'll
some
pick
games?
a game for the week, like let's say the Giants-Cowboys game.
Okay.
And they'll have that, and they'll get rid of the huddles. They'll get
Okay.
rid of all the dilly-dallying, and they take what was 4 hours and turn it into about an hour and a half.
Nesson does that with Red Sox game. Don't they have the 2-hour game
Red
like
Sox
starting at
and two.
midnight or something?
And again, it's just me, but I don't know why anybody would watch a sporting event live. You just be patient for an hour and a half and start watching it. From
Now,
that
you know what
point.
we watched the last couple of days? The junior hockey, U.S. World Cup. And even that, they had so many damn commercials.
Really?
Last night's game, the U.S. won, by the way. They beat Canada.
Huh.
It's fast hockey. It's good. And but, oh, my God, commercial after commercial after commercial.
Because NHL games I'm struck by how there just seems like you get almost 10 minutes of action at a time sometimes. Isn't NHL pretty good about not too many?
Oh, well, you have to go
Not
there.
anymore.
You
Not
have
anymore?
to. You have to
Oh,
go up
really?
to the Bell Center or down to the Garden,
Huh.
and just to see the ref hold the puck.
All right.
Dave May
Just
Center
waiting to get the go to.
for the Bruins, and I'll center for the Canadians. They'll chit chat. I mean, literally, they'll stand there for 2 minutes before they drop the puck.
So there are a fair amount of commercials there too, huh?
Yeah.
You know what was really bad, too? What's really gotten awful is college basketball.
Oh, especially the last couple minutes is in a
But
close game.
even in the first half of the game,
Yeah.
these guys get on a roll.
Yeah.
Commercial. There's like 4 commercials now in each half.
But I mean, a close game. The last few minutes can take seems like a half hour easy with timeouts.
But Duke, when we were much younger, there was a saying during the game is the coach knows how to manage his timeouts. Well, when you hear the whistle go and they announce that, oh, a TV timeout. Wasn't Duke, wasn't North Carolina calling the timeout. TV timeout. It's like, no. It's, again, for the 12th time, record your game, start watching it an hour and a half later.
The Olympics,
Maybe in my next life.
the Olympic hockey, those games with no commercials
No.
were absolutely boom, 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 boom. 20 minutes of action. So 60, probably you can do the whole game in less than 2 hours.
When I go to Norwich hockey, it's within 2 minutes, give or take, 2 hour
2
hockey
hours?
game.
Yeah.
There's no
Really?
TV timeouts, no radio timeouts. It's just,
Yeah.
it's the way it should be.
Well, see, they've added, when you go to a pro game, That's why they've thrown in all the stuff with the jumbotron, because they got to entertain you for that 2.5 minutes
Hey, you got to
every
have
5
loud,
minutes.
blaring music, I trust, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it's awful.
Yeah, and that's my biggest pet peeve to going to a live event is
Yeah.
that loud,
Yeah.
blaring music.
Yeah.
Because I always say, if I'm in a hockey game with you, David, and there's a timeout or a commercial break, I want to talk about the game with you, okay? And you
It's awful.
can't.
It's awful.
You
Yeah.
can't. So now football, finishing that up, I'm really into the draft. I've done a ton of studying on it already. However, it's almost like a wasted time because until free agency starts up, we'll use New England. Everybody's got Kyle Pitts, tight end, great tight end
All right.
in Florida, going to the 15th slot to
Yeah.
the Patriots. Well, if the Patriots do sign Zach Ertz, okay, all that talk
Sure.
we have about Pitts goes right out the window.
Sure.
NFL free agency starts in March, and there's been talk also that the draft is way too late, the end of April, like that. They suggest moving it up a month, like that.
Huck, one other, again, if Jimmy G, and I think that almost sounds likelier than not that he ends up back with what will it take for the Pats to get him?
Thank you for asking that. I meant to ask you that because we all know that the Patriots got a second-round pick,
Yeah.
which everybody screamed, that's all you could get for Jimmy.
Yeah.
And now you look at it, what a theft Patriots
Really?
have.
They probably wouldn't even, the Niners would take a second-round pick easy right
Yeah,
now.
Is that-
I'm being generous.
Yeah.
I would say a third round,
Really?
Pick-
His kind, what are we talking, 20 mil? What's he making?
right around there. I know the 49ers are just tired of him,
Yeah.
period.
No, I'd take a shot. I mean, again, Belichick loved him and stuff, hated to give him up when, he had to and stuff. But no, I think that's a far from unlikely scenario. No offense to Cam. I'll take Jimmy G in a second
Yeah.
over
Yeah.
another year of Cam.
Yeah. And again, I may be overstating this, but I've seen enough of Damian Harris that I think this
He looks
guy
pretty good.
is going to be one of the
Yeah.
top 5 running backs.
Really?
Yeah, that good. If they got Jimmy G
Yeah,
there,
they might come back to life.
balanced off that offense.
Yeah.
And Cam Newton, one scenario I heard, we mentioned how bad the Bears quarterbacking is. He could end up in Chicago, but I'm thinking, well, he literally cannot physically throw the ball.
Right.
So-
Do you notice that? His arm, it
seem
looks like
like
he's
it.
got to throw it sideways.
Yeah.
Didn't seem like
And
it.
we mentioned a couple weeks ago, would he stand for being a backup quarterback? I think he's ate a lot of humble pie this year.
Yeah.
If he could pull down $3 million a year
Yeah.
for holding a clipboard,
Yeah.
he might do that.
Can think of crazier things to do.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump right into golf right now because it's my personal
Can't wait.
favorite
Tomorrow.
golf tournament
We're
starting
talking
tomorrow. And folks out there, I don't care if you don't like golf, you don't have to sit down and watch it. Just turn it on. Golf course sitting right on the ocean, and you walk back and forth from your television set. Take a glance.
Yeah.
It's going to uplift your spirits.
And the camera guys, you know how they'll show you a bunch of whales. They love to,
Yeah.
pan
Yeah.
the ocean for whales and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I can't wait.
Yeah.
So, Hawk, you're probably hip to this. Again, we're talking the Century Tournament of Champions. We're coming off, and thanks to golf. Tell me golf didn't kind of save us early on when everything was gone. They got golf together. So thank you. TV golf is at the top of my agenda these days. I love it. But again, this is, of course, a Tournament of Champions. Typically just winners but they broaden the field, including, I guess, the folks who are in the FedEx in the last FedEx tourney.
Top 15, I think.
Yep, or top 16, yep, something like that. I think it's a field of 45. So guys like my man Xander Schauffele, coming off a great year but didn't win a tourney, although he had the lowest score in the 72-hole FedEx. He just didn't
Do you know
happen to win
Shoffley hasn't
any of
won a
them.
tournament in 2 years?
Is that right? But
Do you know what his last tournament he won?
of course, he was in a playoff a year ago for the Century
Is
when he
this
blew
one?
it on the
But
last
he
hole.
won Kapalua 2 years ago.
No, is that right? And last year, I remember the hole. I'm watching it. You may recall this. He's on the par 5, the last hole, the real long one. He just needs to 2-putt for a win, and he's playing a great round. He 3-putts. He knocked his putt 8 feet past, so he's in a playoff with Patrick Reed and JT, Justin Thomas, and Justin Thomas ends up winning it. Schauffele just needed a 2-putt, and it was the only hole he screwed up probably the whole tournament.
I'll tell you
Anyway.
what, that those last 2 or 3 holes, I've played them, and the par 4 is like 500 yards, but it's like hitting a ball down Hardack. So the ball just goes. And the same with the last hole, and those greens. I bet you I shot 125 on that course. Those greens were so that Bermuda grass green is so hard to read because you got to read the way the grass grows. What do they call that? God, I've got Alzheimer's tonight. I just woke
I'm
up.
slow tonight too.
The grain.
Oh,
You
yeah.
gotta watch the grain.
I guess they did make some. I actually do read some stuff on emails, but I get Golf Digest, and I guess they did make some changes to the course, to the greens.
Haven't they
You know?
didn't they do them the last couple of years? Haven't they been remodeling the course?
I guess so, and I think more changes since the last tourney. But there was a reference to, I can't picture the hole, but the par 5, 4th or 5th hole that the pros were just beating up pretty much. But I guess they put a bunker kind of in the middle of the fairway at about 325 out. But sounds like some changes. But I'm psyched. I can't. And then
there's the Sony Open
the
usually
Sony
the
is
next
a full
week.
field the following tourney.
So David, I thought of
Yeah.
you. Old age, I don't know what it is. I can't put 2 and 2 together. So I'm reading the New York Post, and there's a thing about Polina. Is that her name, Gretzky?
Yo,
Pauline.
So she's in Hawaii. So I click on it. She's in a scantily clad black bikini.
Yeah, she
that
looks-
looked like 3 Band-Aids. Okay, and she's in Hawaii. And I still remember you a couple months ago saying every opportunity she gets.
she loves the
All
camera.
right.
And she's like 35, 36 now, but she still looks
Funny, her
good.
husband or fiance, whatever, is a very different sort kind of.
Oh, right. And that's why that relationship works, because opposites attract. So that's one thing. So I'm watching a bunch of interviews today off YouTube, and my good friend Justin Thomas, and I agreed with him. They asked him about what you were talking about,
Yeah.
letting other people in. He goes, "Isn't this tournament called the Tournament of Champions?" I says, letting people that were runner-ups or this, that, the other, that they're not champions. So I said,
Well, they didn't go too crazy. I think what they did is very reasonable.
Well, it's just for
myself.
this year.
Yeah.
then I saw a nice interview, and he's turning into my favorite golfer just because he's such a nice guy, Mr. Bryson DeChambeau. He seems like the
decent
next door
guy.
neighbor. So they're talking about his long distance hitting. So he practices, and I don't remember the last name, a guy named Kyle, who is the world champion for long
drive.
distance driving. And DeChambeau is constantly working at hitting further. Now, help me, you guys, with this, because when you throw out numbers, I'd like to get an average. DeChambeau said he did hit up to 211 miles an hour on his
211 miles an
211.
hour.
He says very calmly, I would like to average, somewhere between 207, 210. So that sounds like a whole heck of a lot to me, but I couldn't put it into context.
doesn't-
because
doesn't
I don't
mean
know what
much.
the average speed is.
No
but
clue.
again, just sitting there watching him, just a big body. And
And he's not swinging effortlessly. He is coiling.
Yeah.
David, he does just the opposite. If I'm with a grandkid or something, a little kid, I always tell them, I always say, listen, I'm not going to tell you very much when I give a golf lesson. Number one, keep your eye on the ball. Number two, never hit the golf ball. Hit through the ball, okay? And number three, just a nice slow backswing, and you'll find your speed coming through. But
Right,
And
that's the
that-
only thing I'd ever tell you or Joe or myself. Just slow down. You're
right,
swinging
you'll say,
too
Hawk,
fast.
you're swinging way too
All
fast.
I'd ever say.
Thank you. But
He
you
doesn't.
watch. how he's not in traction with the back injury is just totally.
Yeah.
And they were mentioning, I think you just mentioned the 400-yard drives because some of these fairways are downhill, so they're going to get in excess of 400 yards. After that interview, I clicked onto Jack Nicklaus. What a sweet man.
Great
Even
guy.
in his old age,
Yeah.
just sharper than a tack.
Great guy.
And they were talking about
I think Jack's safe too. I think his 18 are pretty safe.
Yeah, Tiger doesn't look like he's got anything left.
getting onto easily par fives onto the green in 2. And he would never say anything derogatory towards the sport of golf. But he did mention it may be time to get new golf balls for the pros.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure how that works, David.
Well, they between the balls and the clubs,
Yeah.
they've added 40, 50, 60
I mean,
yards.
the clubs probably figure more than the balls for
The
both of
clubs
them.
have zing. For guys like us, they make such a difference. Imagine what a professional can do with them.
Yeah.
They would never resort to having a bum like me play with a ball that doesn't hit as far.
A restricted.
Well,
right.
you could probably get by. I don't think for guys like us and amateurs, I don't think it makes any. But for the
Yeah, who
pros,
cares?
for the pros, I could see him dumbing the ball down a little bit.
Yeah.
And Jack Nicklaus has said all along that golf is the only sport that doesn't have a standard ball.
Huh, that's a good point.
That is interesting.
You look at baseball, the baseballs are all
Yeah,
technically
that's a good-
the
that's
same.
a good point.
Football's the
Yep.
same, basketball's the same. But golf, you got everybody and their brother, and it's a wild west out there on golf balls.
Yeah.
And they've got to rein in the equipment because the courses can't get much longer.
Right.
You've got the Masters is what 7,600, 7,700 yards now.
Yeah, I agree. What are they going to do? Go to 8,000 or more?
No, now for guys like us, it doesn't matter. We don't care. 6,000 yard Champlain Country Club is all the course we need.
What's the distance of Champlain?
Yellow
from
Tees
from
is
Yellow
58.
Tees, I think it's just about 6 or just under 6.
Yellow Tees
59
is
something.
58 something, and the black Tees about 62.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Do you play black or
Occasionally,
Yeah.
some.
For the record, I'm still hanging in at yellows as opposed
Yeah,
to my
I
good
like
friend
playing the
here.
yellows.
Yeah, the Duke, gosh, you should be hitting 71 pretty soon.
Yeah, unfortunately,
Like-
that's correct. I trust I'm not going to be surprised
No,
by
there will
a
be no party.
I don't
bunch
think
of
there's a
people.
party. I'm not going to let the cat out of the
You're
bag.
not going to come to my 70
When's your birthday?
Jan 17.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got to let the cat out of the bag. I don't think there's a party this year that you'll have to worry about.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm not worried. I should have been worried last year.
Yeah. So, and
Anyway.
the other thing too that was brought up, they showed a little chart. We talked all year. We've been lifelong golfers. We've never seen the Champlain Country Club as busy as
Well,
they were.
what a year,
And
huh?
when we saw Club Pro Mike Swim early July, he said to us, I don't know if it's off the record, he goes, if we don't make another nickel after the end of July, we'll break even for
That's unreal.
Unbelievable. Well, they showed the chart and quickly, and I tallied it up as fast as I could, divided by 5 or 6. Golf play in this country, due to the COVID, was up 25%
Really?
this
Wow.
year nationwide.
Wow.
And I said, wow, that sounds like a lot. Then I said, well, that makes sense.
Well, you
Sure.
got nothing else to do.
Sure. No, like I said, I mean, just the TV golf tourneys when they came back, I mean, sports was pretty much dead and stuff.
This was the best year for the Champlain Country Club ever.
yeah,
ever.
sounds like
Ever
it.
by a lot.
Yeah.
No, they made a lot of money. It was good.
I'll show you how desperate I was. When they reopened the golf course in May, I didn't wait to call for a tee time. I drove over and stood in line.
All right.
Don Testier was in front of me to get a tee time.
And think they weren't open. They could have opened up. They could have opened up certainly by the 20th of April.
David,
They did have
Our
restrictions.
The course was ready.
I like statistics.
But
and
they had
one-
restriction. I mean, they couldn't.
Yeah, they couldn't open up, but
One statistic I hated was your governor, Mr. Phil Scott, opened up the golf course in May. I don't remember the exact date. We literally, for a fact, were the 48th state in the union to open up their golf course. The 48th state. And I remember he made some ridiculous statement as, hey, it's not that late. You never know. It could snow here in May.
Well, it didn't, and it was
It
nice
did,
out.
but we had a good weather year in this fall, and that's my time. I love autumn golf. What a great season.
Well, we had that nice stretch middle of November. We had a little bit of an Indian summer, and shoot, I played now that I can say it.
You, what, 3 weeks ago, you played in New York?
Played over in Plattsburgh.
But don't tell anybody.
We got about 4 or 5 December visits in.
No, did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And we played in 2 hours. You'd like that, Hawk. That's your kind of golf.
Of course, I'm still waiting to hear if my tourney in Hilton Head, if the fans are going to be allowed. I guess no decisions on that.
But they made you use a golf cart. That's how you were able to get around so quickly.
Yeah, because Adirondack's kind of spread out anyway.
And kudos to the Duke. As we mentioned, he'll be turning the ripe age of 71 in a week and a half. This guy's in
How old
phenomenal
does that
physical
sound?
shape, and
Yeah,
he loves
you're-
to walk the golf course. And I'm nowhere the condition of the Duke. I love the walk on the golf course.
Yeah,
Now,
it's great.
You play certain golf courses like Jay Peak. You
gotta have a cart.
You need a golf cart. And when you go to Myrtle Beach too, it's all about speed of play.
Right.
They want to get as many bodies.
Because Hilton Head, and I typically don't play any golf on my trip, but a lot of those places, you have to have they would no way they'd
No,
let you
you
walk.
can't. You don't ever see. When we go to Myrtle Beach, there's nobody walking.
Nobody's walking.
Yeah,
They're all cars.
One more golf note, Tiger, in case anybody cares. I'm sure a bunch of people care. Sounds like when's Tiger going to play? A lot of speculation that he might wait till his Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines in late Feb. Attorneys won like 7 times. Where, of course, won the U.S. Open, hobbling around with his famous Open victory. And that's where the Open is. I think the Open's back
I
at
think
Torrey
it is at
Pines,
Torrey Pines.
later on, too. So we're probably not going to see Tiger for a while. It's okay.
A long-winded question I have for you. Why?
Oh, well, why isn't he playing? I think
He's in his mid-40s.
No, I think he's, like as
think he's
David
hurt.
suggested, I don't think, I'm
I
not
think he
sure
was
he's in
hurt.
top shape. I think he's going to really pick his spots.
He can. I don't think his body can take it.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got, what does he have to prove? Nothing to prove. He's not gonna catch up to Jack. I guess he just does need one more tourney victory to get ahead of Sam Snead. Isn't he tied
Yeah,
with Sam?
82,
That 82, I think. Anyway, and who knows? He might grab another one. That's
No,
about
I will
it.
say, his 82 is probably more impressive than Sam Snead's.
Yeah.
Because I'll bet you
Sure.
when Sam Snead was playing,
Oh, sure.
there were a lot of those, especially. I'm not sure if he played during the war years, but
Oh, I'd say Tiger's is way more impressive.
And I didn't make this up. It was a number of years ago. They were saying back when Snead played and Ben Hogan, there might have been 5 guys
Right.
capable of
Right.
beating them.
Right.
Where when Tiger's playing, there's probably 35 guys.
Right. For that matter, I mean, you're touching on the point. I guess you could make the case that in a lot of ways you could say Tiger's 15 majors is, definitely more impressive
Yep.
than Jack's 18. I guess you could say
Well,
that. But
I
Jack
would-
did have a
of course
ton
we've
of
talked
number
about this
twos.
ad nauseum.
Right.
We've when not only does Jack have
Oh, he had a number,
the 18,
20
he's
number
got 29
twos, second
and
places.
thirds.
Right. Oh, I'm not
Tiger-
putting down Jack at all.
I
No,
I
Jack's
would
great.
rank him Jack 1,
Yeah.
Tiger 1A.
Yeah, sounds about right. I
And-
think you can make the case for either one, but I think
They're,
you're not crazy to have Jack on top still.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to have those guys. And Tiger was really good. Give
God,
the
I
guy
mean,
credit.
In Tiger's heyday, meaning 1/3 of your starts or so, with all the good golfers. I mean, that's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah, he was.
That's insane.
Yeah, he was good. He
Wow.
was good. Not a good person, but good.
And it sounds like like I said, I've been on Tiger's case a long time. It sounds like he's mellowed a bit. It sounds like he's become a better person. I'd like to think.
You'd like to think so,
Who
but
knows?
he's got quite a PR machine.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Doesn't he have the same agent with IMG he's had
Yeah,
for
Steinberg.
forever? Steinberg.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So Kapalua, again, this is you know Kapalua.
I've been there. I've played it.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, Thursday, I guess it'll be, I don't know, I'm sure one of the networks, CBS or NBC, has weekend coverage. Golf Channel will start with Thursday and Friday. And what's kind of nice is I don't have to worry about a replay. Time difference between here and Hawaii, I got to think, is 5 or 6 hours or so.
7, maybe 6.
Is it 7?
Well, you got 3
Coast
hours
is 3.
And another 3, I think.
So probably 6, give or take
Yeah.
an hour. Anyway, so that'll be some good live coverage on Golf Channel for next 2 days. But yeah, I'm psyched for golf.
NBC, Duke,
Yeah.
I think the only coverage they're doing is 4 to 6 on Sunday.
Why would they just do just because of
Then they'll
football
go
issue?
back to the golf channel.
Oh, is that right? Just
when
because
I
of
recorded
football?
it all week. It was all on the golf channel.
Oh, really?
775.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Maybe because of football considerations
Well,
on the weekend?
With 6 games this weekend,
Right.
it's going to bite into.
Boy, that's a record. This is the most playoff
Right.
games
Right.
ever, correct?
Yeah.
With
And
what, two additional teams? Is that what they
Right.
threw in?
And I forgot to ask, do you think that'll be a permanent fixture?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Why? Hey, more.
Well,
more
and
money,
it does
right?
give you, it does give the team that has the best record a little added incentive.
Absolutely.
Because then they are the only team that gets a week off.
Yeah, because I was never crazy with the top 2 teams. It should be the top team. I kind of like this because there was no teams that made the playoffs with a bad record. Of course, it said the Redskins or the football team, but they were a divisional winner
Yeah.
with a home game,
Yeah.
which is the best part. So, David, I said to myself last week, of course, we've had no baseball news whatsoever.
Oh, there's a big
Not-
trade today.
Not much. What's
Greg
that?
Allen?
Is he the guy the Yankees picked up from San Diego?
Yes.
Who was a DFA?
We had a trade.
Right. The Yankees picked up Greg Allen
Who was a DFA?
for a minor league pitcher.
Yeah.
Biggie, huh?
That was it. So I
biggie.
told myself last week, now that the New Year's is, the holidays are behind us,
We'll get some stuff.
you're
I
going to
don't
see
think
some
so.
baseball action pick up.
Excuse me.
Nothing. Here we are, 27 minutes left in the show, and we're talking about baseball. This time of the year, baseball should almost be headlining.
Can I give you just one real quick Shaughnessy comment from that same column? After his thing about Belichick, his next one, don't have it in
There.
front of me, but next one was the Red Sox are more irrelevant than at any time since 1966.
Yep.
Was Shaughnessy's.
Boy, that's the truth, too.
Boy, I guess so. I mean, the Red Sox, anybody talking about Red Sox?
No. No, there's really,
So
there's no
still
baseball news.
nothing, huh?
No.
And again, still not clear. I mean, spring training, 162 games, nothing. I guess I'm hearing the players want to play 162 games because they want to make some money, but nothing's nailed down, correct?
No, here we are, January 6th. We still don't know if the National League will have a designated hitter.
Right. Although I think I read in the Sunday Globe that supposedly most National League GMs or owners, I guess, are pretty much in with the DH, but still not nailed down.
Manfred,
And the union obviously would love it, right?
and I saw a snippet about why free agents aren't signing, and the CBA was brought up, and they're thinking not collusion, but a lot of teams just aren't getting into the fray of even nibbling at free
Right,
agents.
but just with the uncertainty, maybe there's collusion going on, but hey, if you don't know how many games you're playing,
But
if you don't
have any fans,
if you don't have any fans, what a surprise that people aren't, teams aren't going crazy signing people.
now they shouldn't have too much trouble with COVID for the season because I'm sure they're going to make all their guys get vaccinated.
It's warmer, obviously warmer weather by then.
And so they shouldn't have to
David,
worry about the protocol as much.
Well, players, you're raising a good point. Will big time sports players be at the front of the line?
I would think they would
for
have to.
vaccinations.
Okay, that was my question.
Well, I'm
It's still my
not
question.
sure. I'm not sure I'd assume that.
So you're a 24-year-old baseball player. Okay, spring training opens up, say February 20th. Okay, Duke is 71. Duke hasn't had his vaccination shot. He hasn't been called yet to get it. Where Willie Joe, Pete,
So Mookie Betts, Mookie's going to get it ahead of me. Is that fair?
Before Duke.
Well, you know what? We've got enough vaccines out there. There's 18 million vaccines that have been shipped, and less than a million,
5 mil.
or 5 million have been administered.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of vaccine, and I would think that it's not grossly selfish for the players to get vaccinated. I mean, because they do generate a lot of money for a lot of different things.
Yeah,
I mean,
not to mention huge entertainment value for a ton of people.
and it's kind of like having the USO. During wartime, you really need your entertainment a little bit.
But where do you draw the line? Are we talking major league play? What about AAA players? Are they in there too? What about AA? You got to draw the line somewhere.
Well, I think anybody that goes to camp gets a shot.
Yeah.
But you aren't talking a lot of people.
Yeah.
How many?
Well, David, you must have
baseball
given...
rosters are what, 40 players, right, for their official?
Well, they and when you add the coaches in there, and so maybe
50, 60.
And when you add, they say that the camps are going to have only major league players and maybe AAA players. So you got 100 times. Let's say you got 100 people that need a shot times 32. What's that?
Well,
3,200.
3,200.
So let's grab a call. Good evening. You're on
Which
the
isn't
Best
that
Damn
many.
Sports Show in Franklin County. Hello.
Hi, guys.
Greetings.
How you doing?
Good. How you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Just tuned in a few minutes ago.
Hey, good to hear you.
Yeah. As far as these COVID vaccinations, boy, I don't know if the players' union would be in agreement of all these players being forced to take the vaccination. What I understand, a lot of these frontline workers are refusing them. Now, these vaccinations are, I guess, in reality, still experimental. You don't have a vaccine that you says, well, this will work 100%.
But supposedly they're close. I mean, 95% seems to be the percentage I hear. That's a pretty decent percentage if that's the case.
Well, how can you get that percentage until this COVID plays itself out? I mean, a lot of things, what I've heard, like, it could look like it knocks it down, then it could, kind of mutate right in your own body and, reappear. A lot of people, me, one of them, would be skeptical about taking that. And I guess my point here is I'm sure a lot of professional athletes would be skeptical as well.
No, I don't know about a lot. I'll take a vaccine.
The difference between professional athletes and you and I is that we aren't getting paid $5 or $10 or $20 million a year to play our sport. And I think that...
they don't want one player or two players sick to...
because you look at what happened with Cleveland this week with their coach being out. So I don't think the players will have a choice. Either you get... And I would say it's going to go right through all these sports sooner or later. I'm sure it'll be the same with the Olympics. You better have a vaccine or don't worry about coming into work.
There will be a controversy. There's no doubt about it. And, there will be a lot of people that do sit out. I can guarantee you that. Like I said, a lot of these frontline workers are refusing to take it. I hope it's 100% good, but at this point, it's still experimental. And like I said last week, it's already mutated where people in Colorado have come down with that, mutated form. And the first case just came up in New York this week, too. So, will this vaccine also take care of, the new COVID? I mean, there's so many more questions than answers, I guess.
David, question. We're in our 60s. Duke will get it before us. When do you think...
Maybe not. I think the state's talking 65. Really, even older people than me, and then 65 and up. So
David's
I guess I get it.
David's
what are you,
64.
64, Dan?
64. and a
The
half.
Hawks 62?
62, and I think this caller 63. So my question to you, David, is one
Yeah, I might get it ahead of
us
you.
early 60s will get the call.
May, June.
It'll be that long?
That'd be
I
the next.
think
It'd be
so.
the next phase.
Wow, okay.
And who knows, maybe, and you know what, you get the stupid thing and you'll be all, then it's done. And then, but no, I don't think, and then this new strain, it's been mutating the whole time. The vaccine's meant to take care of it and whatever strain it has.
Yeah.
There's, the technology that's in these things now is
Yeah,
incredible.
I mean, it sounds like they're giving this a pretty. It sounds like the vaccine. They're
Yeah.
giving it a pretty good effort.
Plus,
Sounds
the
like
other
to
thing
me.
that's happened too is the treatments are getting better for this disease. They're figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and but we just got to get through it and get it out of the way, and then hopefully we can move on.
But it's going to be a while.
But I wouldn't till summer.
Yeah, no, I hope that is the
Yeah.
case. I'm just kind of mentioning that, there's not going to be 1,000 athletes that do agree with this, and especially those guys being as young as they are, and really chances of those guys getting it are much less.
Well,
But if they don't take it, I don't think
if they
they're- I
don't take it, they
they're
probably
playing.
won't get to play.
They're
And
not-
I'll tell
they're
you
not
what, then
playing.
they can go back to the strip clubs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the teams just aren't going to take. They're just not going to dare take a chance. I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I can just smell controversy is what I'm saying, I guess. I'm not saying they should or shouldn't, but that certainly will be a controversial topic.
We can't seem to get anything in this country without controversy right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
every topic brought up is controversy
Absolutely,
today.
yeah.
Nothing goes out, without controversy. We were talking about that at work. I mean, you don't even want to give an opinion anymore on anything.
Yeah.
But I did something the other night I haven't done in a while. I watched the Boston Celtic game,
Really?
and I enjoyed it. And who I liked was this Pritchard kid.
Oh,
I mean, he reminded me of basketball in the 50s, a butch cut haircut, guy going out there hustling. He ended up with 23 points the other night.
And a white guy too. He's white.
Caller, it's funny you say that because I'm watching the game the other night, and that's the exact thought I had.
Really?
He looked like a 1950s kind of player. The only thing he was missing was his Converse sneakers.
Bob-
Yeah, for sure.
This guy is a throwback, and when I watched the draft, I had my draft list, and Pritchard was down in the late 30s. I was aware of the name. Didn't really know much about him.
I knew nothing
and
about him.
They drafted him, and everybody, during the draft, whoa, what a strange pick that is.
Really?
And the internet blew up. Like, what a wasted
I mean,
pick.
he was a Duck, right? An Oregon Duck.
He was a Duck.
Wasn't he? But didn't he do? He was pretty highly touted in the
He
Pac.
played 4 years.
Pac-10.
He actually went to school for 4
Wow.
years, and
No wonder you like the guy.
was Pac-12 Player of the Year. And this guy is Albert Einstein as far as basketball.
How tall is he, Hawk?
6'3", I believe.
really?
This guy has got more moves than a Swiss watch.
Kuz, as you might get. Kuz has great words for him. Kuz loves him.
Oh, and that's another guy it kind of reminded me of, is Bob Cousy. He is my favorite player. Him
Oh, without a doubt.
And
he
Rob
did not
Williams.
look lost out there.
Nope.
He looks like he's been in the league for 5 years.
yeah, this
And
guy's
especially without Kemba, and they need him big
yeah,
time.
they're playing as we speak against the Heat.
Now, is he a guard?
He's a guard.
He's a guard.
Yeah.
But, I don't watch it like you guys do, the Celtics at all. But what I got out of this, we probably arguably have the best starting five in basketball. But, boy, you go to that bench.
Yeah.
We were up by 20 the whole game. In the last 3.5 minutes, the bench came in. And before we hit the 2-minute mark, we were only up by 10 points. So they put those guys back on the bench and brought the starters back out.
Yeah.
I mean, we watched that lead, a 20-point lead diminish to 10 points within a minute or minute and a half. But, no, it was a good game. I really enjoyed it. I haven't watched a Celtic game in quite some time.
And that's what I'll be doing when I leave here tonight on the DVR, David.
Well, they were playing Toronto, And I said, well, geez, this isn't Boston. They have the
Tampa,
big.
right?
Yeah, and I got thinking, how can they be playing Toronto? Then they mentioned they're in Tampa.
Poor Toronto, yeah. Toronto's not playing north of the border anytime
Well, let me
soon.
ask you, if you're a Raptor, would you rather be playing in Toronto or Tampa Bay?
Yeah,
I think Tampa, the weather is much nicer there right now.
Yeah, and I've said a zillion times, if I was a professional athlete, okay, as much as I like the Montreal Canadiens, say I was a hockey player, you could check probably I'd be signing either with Tampa Bay or Phoenix, okay? And I said before, if David was my teammate, we had a 7 o'clock game, I'd always, Dave, let's do a quick 9. Let's go. Jump
Yeah,
on the golf
'cause,
cart. We'll play 9 holes in 65-degree weather.
Those aren't the places you mind being in the winter.
Yeah, Brady said months ago, I think, hey, I'm never living in the Northeast again. Forget the Northeast.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Then I tuned in a couple nights ago to, I love the Tar Heels, as you know. They were playing. I could only watch about 5 minutes of
Miami?
it. It looked like a pre-recorded high school game. Nobody in the stands. It didn't even seem like a real college basketball game to me. It was hard for me to even get interested.
Yeah, I hear you. I haven't gotten into college basketball at all. The Dukies, I was going to watch them Saturday night. They were
They're playing tonight.
at Florida State, and that got canceled. I think some Florida State had some COVID issues, but
they're
yeah,
9
Bobby,
o'clock.
I'm not into college basketball at all right now.
another thing about
Yeah.
Celtics I forgot to bring up.
What about their first round pick? Is he doing anything, Hawk?
Aaron Naismith? He doesn't get much playing time at this point.
Yeah.
But when the Celtics are on the road, Brian Scalabrine and Mike Gorman go to their studio in Burlington.
Right.
Not Burlington, Vermont,
Right.
Burlington, Mass.
Yeah,
How
right
far
outside
from Boston?
Oh, 5-10 miles, right outside Boston.
And they're watching it on the big screen, Gorman and Scalabrine, and that's where they're announcing the
Right.
games. Yeah.
Which is what some of the Red Sox folks did, I think, routine announcers.
Yep. Now
At
that
least the
you mention
radio
it,
guys.
So, caller, will baseball start the 1st of April?
Boy, I don't know. I mean, absolutely, there's no news on it, no free agent signings. Yeah, your guess is as good as mine. They're certainly not in a hurry to do anything.
No, it's
Hey,
crazy.
I've got a question. I also watched Clemson in Ohio. You guys probably spoke about this already.
No, we didn't. We didn't.
But, geez, the Lawrence kid for Clemson, it was an average performance at the best.
Yeah.
From my point of view, the kid from Ohio
Justin
was 10
Fields.
times better. And I looked at this Lawrence kid, and I'm not an expert on anything, but the guy is about my size. And I said, geez, they're going to crush this guy when he gets to the NFL. I mean, he's going to have to muscle up. I'm sure he's a great athlete, but boy, I'd be concerned about his size.
But he's had an unreal career. You're right. He had an average game, and Justin Fields, who had been way down on the list, talk about bringing himself way back up.
Zach Wilson supplanted him as the second best quarterback in the
Yeah.
draft. Well, after the Clemson game,
Yeah.
he went back to the number 2.
I think
the
Trevor
kid had
Lawrence
grit,
is a
too.
tougher
That
kid than you
hurt.
think.
I
Trevor
bet you he
Lawrence
cracked
is a
some
pretty
ribs.
tough kid, though.
Yeah,
He's hurt. He
Trevor
may not-
Lawrence, let me tell you.
Not sure he's playing Monday.
This about Trevor Lawrence. I, too, thought he had an average game. Come at the end of the game, he threw for over 400 yards.
He's still,
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about Trevor Lawrence,
Yeah.
but no, Justin Fields might have.
So you
made a
feel
lot
he's
of
still
money.
a number one pick?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what, though, is good question, because if Justin Fields pulls off an impossible upset over Alabama.
And Ohio State looked great. I'm not sure that's an
Yeah.
impossible upset. Ohio State blew my
Do you
mind.
know what, Duke? I don't even know the spread on the game.
I think Bama by maybe 10 or so, but
Is it that much?
I'm not.
Wow.
I'm not sure. Let's see if I can
Alabama
find that.
killed everybody this year. They were really good.
Now, caller, while Duke looks for the spread, L.A. Ram quarterback Jared Goff, what will be the condition of his thumb come this weekend?
Well, they're kind of quiet right now. They said it'll be close to a game time.
Wow. So you're
A game time situation there. I would like to see him play both. This Wolford kid can run, And, he ran for 3 or 4 first downs when we played last Sunday, and Goff just kind of melts in the pocket. So, I just think they should play on both of them. When, you have 3rd and 7 or something, put this Wolford in. And, like the Saints do with, what is it, Hill and Breeze.
Yeah.
That's what I feel the Rams should do. Goff has kind of regressed. And I saw with Wolford some spark. All he has to do is play. And I would prefer to see him, but, he's not the one making $30 million. So,
Do you know the funny thing about quarterbacking in the NFL? Back when you used to have a scrambling guy run on the pocket, could go upfield to run, they'd always stick out. But now what really sticks out is the pocket passer, the guy that stays in the pocket and doesn't run, use any athleticism. It's the new wave in the NFL is pocket passing. Now, Josh Allen, as good as he is, just could be a throwback type player.
Hawk, I was a little high on the line. I'm saying 7 or 7.5.
Okay. So, so a lot of football this weekend for sure.
yeah, it should be good. I'm looking forward to it. Like you said earlier, I probably watched more football this year than I ever have.
Yeah.
And, the AFC seems like a powerhouse. And, Buffalo has a very solid team.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
like I mentioned last week, Baltimore has put quite a streak together as well. So, it should be some good playoff games. Again, in the NFC, if I had to put money on it, I would probably go with Green Bay. It'd be, hard to bet against them, but, playoff time, I guess anything can happen.
Exactly. So, okay. Well, thanks for calling in, and hopefully next time you call, you'll have some baseball news.
Yeah, well, don't hold your breath on that.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Okay, guys. Have a good night.
Thank
Great
you.
show.
Hey,
Bye-bye.
thanks for
Bye-bye.
calling. See ya.
7.5 minutes to go in the show. As we sit here right now, we're literally 1 week away from the start of the NHL season.
So literally a week from tonight?
Yeah, I'm going to make a prediction, not a Nighthawk guarantee. I am going to say the Canadians will win not so much point-wise during the regular season, but when the playoffs in the North Division, they will come out of that division as the champion to get into the Final Four.
You don't have a bias, do you?
You know what, David? I've always spoken very honestly about the Canadians. They've stunk for the last number of years, but I see so much talent, and the window on Carey Price, even though he's got many years left in his contract, is starting to close. A lot of veterans on this team. I'm more excited for the Canadians this year than I have been for many, many, many years. And
Really?
Duke, your Bruins open up next Thursday, and they'll be in the Garden State playing the Devils.
Yeah.
You know what we didn't talk about last week? Henrik Lundqvist had to
Open heart surgery.
Open heart
Oh, is that
surgery.
so?
Yeah.
Boy, so his career
He's
is his
probably done now.
Yeah.
history. Boy, the Zdeno Chara situation. There's been certainly some pushback in Boston. Some folks, and I'm a little sad. I mean, geez, one more year left, and he ends up in Washington. But then I'm hearing on the other side, Charlie McAvoy's your next big star, and Zdeno is kind of holding him back somehow. But there's been I feel a little bad that Zdeno is not ending his career with the Bruins.
Dude, my thought, though, he should have nothing to do with McAvoy.
Yeah.
He's the top line defense.
Yeah.
You put Chara in the third grouping.
Yeah.
And,
Right, that's what it's. Yeah, I mean, just give him less playing.
Well,
but
they weren't paying him much. He only signed for $750,000.
God, nothing.
$795 to be exact.
But I'm sorry to see. I'm kind of sorry to see him end up with another
He's
team.
a steady
for-
player, but boy, he really looked slow last year.
Well, that's the thing, David, is
Yeah.
he looks really
He's
slow.
never been a good skater anyway.
No.
But still, I mean, what a
But
career!
he's a Hall of Famer.
I'm just kind of sad to see him end up with another team
Yeah,
for
it was
his
sad.
last year.
I don't blame the Bruins management either.
Yeah.
Like David just said, he
Yeah.
does look really slow.
Yeah.
out there, and he's the type of guy that'll benefit the Capitals more at playoff.
Of course, I hadn't even thought about Tuca. Of course, I remember my saying after Tuca took off a couple times, oh, Tuca, they're not going to keep him. Tuca's obviously back, right?
He's back. He's happy. In fact, I read something about
Really?
Tuca today.
Really?
Happy to be back to the Bruins. He said he wants to finish his career with
No,
Tuca.
really?
And I'm convinced Tuca's a unique personality.
Yeah.
He's an honest kid.
Thank you for not saying very unique.
Yeah, he's an honest kid. If the Bruins attempted to trade him, there's
Yeah.
no doubt in my mind he would retire.
Yeah, oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So.
So you're pretty, boy, it sounds like, so you're pretty psyched about Hockey Hawk.
Oh,
Really psyched.
big time. And
Will you get, will you get every Canadians game?
yeah, I'll buy the center
Okay.
ice package. And get every game.
That gives you every game.
Every single hockey game
Really?
out there. With that being said, I just watched the Canadians.
Right.
I can't watch a regular season. It's just not. The
I
regular season
don't
just
give the
doesn't
regular
count.
season. I don't give it much attention. I'll
No.
catch
David,
some
in my
Bruins,
mental
but
state as I am right now, okay, I am enjoying sports more than ever. I mean,
hey, it's all not all you have,
Nothing.
but it's
Hey,
a
I've got a.
bigger hunk of
you
your
know,
life
here
than usual.
I have another cruise coming up in April after I've had 3 canceled out in 2020.
And what do you think your chances are of pulling that off?
So I have a 16-night cruise leaving Fort Lauderdale, headed to Europe, bunch of places.
In late April, right?
Yeah, end up in Amsterdam. What do you think
Love
the chances
Amsterdam.
of me?
I think they're about 50-50.
In fact, that's what I'm putting my April trip to South Carolina. I'm thinking
Because,
I'm about 50-50.
just talked to somebody. One of my used car manager, his dad is in Aruba.
Oh, yeah.
He's 85 years old, flew in from, they live in Florida. And he said he had to get a test first day, and then he had to stay in his room for a day. And once everything came out good, he's been fine.
Yeah.
And he sure looked good today. They did a FaceTime. He was sitting by the pool. He had a cigar. I mean, he looked great.
Yeah. Well, I should be the healthiest man in America. I had no Christmas. I was in my Jamie's, saw nobody, no Christmas whatsoever. New Year's, nothing.
Me too.
Just nothing. So every day is Groundhog Day with me. And
If I could just get rid of the cookies.
Yeah.
Carrie went to Costco and brought back a whole bunch
Boy,
of cookies.
Costco's scary. In fact, my buddy Alex's mother, Helen, gave me some, if you know Costco, anybody who knows Costco probably knows peppermint bark. As in chocolate with kind of peppermint
Oh,
sprinkles.
how's that? Those are-
Oh, that stuff's a kid.
Oh.
I've probably got a pound of it. I think I've had it for a month. I'm down to my last 2 pieces, but that stuff is just outrageously good.
Hey, I watched. I shouldn't promote a competitor's show, but one of my cousins recommended to me this show on Netflix called Fauda.
Called what?
Fauda, Fauda, which is Arabic for chaos. And it's about an Israeli secret defense team and their operations.
Is it the Mossad or?
No, they're a special unit, and the guy that wrote it stars in the show, and he was in the Israeli Defense Forces as a 19-year-old.
wow.
And the action is fantastic. It's dubbed Hebrew and Arabic, and of course the Arabic I can pick up a few of the words.
Oh yeah.
Growing up in a house, or my grandparents used to speak Arabic. But anyways, it's absolutely fantastic. Once you get through the first one, I watched till 2:30 in the morning, about 4 nights in a row to get through it. It was that good.
Okay.
Talking just in seconds, I might have mentioned this before, but Channel 19 there, the Heroes and Icons. Sunday they've been doing the original Untouchables. Oh, I think I mentioned that before. Robert Stack is Elliot.
Oh yeah,
Ness.
that's supposed to be really
Walter
good.
Winchell's staccato narration. What a show. They've been doing 8 hours on Sundays.
Okay. so alrighty, that is it. Got through another show, and let's just hope next week we'll have some baseball to talk about. I doubt it, but that concludes this edition. For Richie Cunningham, Super Dave, The Duke on the Nighthawk, remember, folks, you do not, or remember this, I got to remember this. Library card, it's free, but knowledge is priceless. We'll see you guys next week. Ciao.
See ya. Be well.